You're muted.
Ashley, are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Great, thank you. Give it a few more seconds here. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call the Public Works Committee to order today, June 30th, and it's very hot. If we could put information for public participation up, Ashley, that'd be great. Great, thank you. And we continue to meet via Zoom. So ways to stay engaged include joining us via Zoom webinar. If you are present and would like to provide public comment, please let us know by using the raise and lower hand feature, and we'll call on you to provide comment. If you are participating by phone, you can raise and lower your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to mute and unmute yourself. You can always leave a voice message for the entire council by calling 406-552-6012, and you can email council members at council@ci.missoula.mt.us. And these meetings are recorded and accessed via YouTube and/or MCAT. And with that, if we could get a roll call, please, for attendance.
Anderson,
Present.
Becerra,
Present.
Contos,
Here.
Harp,
Here.
Hess, Jones,
Present.
Merritt, Ramos,
Present.
Cheryl, Vasika,
Present.
Von Lossberg,
Here.
West.
Here.
Thanks, Ashley. Next, we have approval of minutes. Are there any changes to our last meeting's minutes? Okay, seeing none, those would be approved. I will do a quick check on our public attendance and see if anyone would like to provide public comment. See one participant, Steve Reichert. Let us know if you would like to provide public comment, please, by using your raise and lower hand feature, please. Okay. So with that, we will move to our first item on our agenda, and that's a referral. It's a professional services agreement with WGM Group for the Russell Commuter Trail Crossing. And I believe Mark Todorovich will be presenting.
That is correct. This is Mark Todorovich, Construction Project Coordinator, Public Works and Mobility, Surface Transportation Engineering. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yep, now we can. Thanks.
Okay. This is consideration for a professional services agreement with WGM Group for the South Russell Street Commuter Trail Crossing. The South Russell Street Commuter Trail Crossing is located here. Okay, right here. And it's north of the YMCA at the existing driveway approach. The crossing will include bulb outs with rectangular rapid flashing beacons on each side of the road, a center median refuge island, and temporary lighting. Existing South Russell Street crossing with our RFBs is located right down here. And there are two bus stops in the area. They are located here and here. To give you some background, this project has been included in the past two CIP budgets as a roadway improvements project. There was a pedestrian hit by a vehicle crossing the street in the general vicinity of the project. The county, in conjunction with MRA, completed improvements to the trail a couple years ago. Design for the trail didn't successfully tie in the South Russell Street bike lanes and sidewalk on the west side of the street. The current project includes working with MBT on their authorization for the project. New crossing locations will facilitate transit riders accessing opportunity resources, YMCA fairgrounds, and other area businesses and amenities. The schedule, the desire is to complete the work fairly quickly and put it out for bid this year. The previous is best case scenario. We are likely not going to receive low bids, and we will have the ability to advertise in the fall or winter and have construction take place in spring of 2022. Funding, the city and county will split 50-50 per the funding agreement that will be bring to Public Works Committee soon. The total project cost is roughly $146,500 and includes design and construction. The selection process through the Public Works and Mobility SOQ from a couple months ago, we selected 5 consultant firms to complete transportation projects. WGM was one of the 5 firms. We selected WGM from the list because of their previous work for Missoula County designing the commuter trail. City plans to use staff to manage the contractor and inspect construction work. I ask that you approve the recommended motion, and I'll be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions from council members? John?
Yes, thank you. I'm curious, why the need for this? I drive up and down this road at least 10, 15 times a day. Can you help me out with that one?
Well, I'll probably refer that question to Kevin Slovarp if he's around.
Am I unmuted now?
You are, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you. Kevin Slovarp, City Engineer for Surface Transportation. Really the why Mark mentioned earlier in the presentation, really because a pedestrian was hit by a vehicle in this area. The businesses in the area asked the city to look into a project, a safety project that would help folks that were looking to access area businesses, and specifically Opportunity Resources, to have that additional safety with the crossing improvements consisting of ramps and center median. And the RRFBs. So that's part of it. The other part of it is that the design that was previously completed by the fairgrounds for the trail really didn't tie in the pedestrian and bike improvements on Russell Street to the trail. So the beginning or the end of the trail at Russell Street really doesn't tie into the pedestrian and bicycle facilities on really either side of the road. So those are the 2 main reasons why we're contemplating and wanting to do the project.
Thank you, Kevin. Does that answer your question, John?
Trying to find my mute here, so I don't use it very often. Yeah, I appreciate you answering. It didn't excite me, but yeah, got your answer. Thanks.
Okay. Next, I see Gwen. Go ahead, Gwen.
Thanks. I was actually just going to add on to that answer that over the years in council, we've had a lot of discussions about Russell and people being able to safely cross it. And I remember, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago when John Dabari was on council, we had a big hearing regarding trying to figure out how to make Russell safer. And there were a lot of people from the neighborhood to the west of Russell who wanted to see something done. And the information we got is a ton of kids and people in general, but a lot of kids are coming from that neighborhood that you see reflected on the left side on your screen, crossing Russell, either going to the YMCA, they're either going to Russell School or the YMCA after school, or they're going to the big park complex, Playfair. And then you also have a whole population of a lot of people coming in on the bus and crossing Russell going the other way, trying to get to Opportunity Resources. So it's a street that doesn't have good access east-west. So I'm glad, I like the change, Kevin, that went in right in front of, at the YMCA with the bump outs and but I'm also glad to see something else done a little further north on this. I think it'll be good and really helpful because there are a lot of people going back and forth across Russell. And we heard from a lot of them. So I just wanted to add that institutional history to this.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Heather, go ahead.
Thanks, Marta. And John, just to piggyback on what Gwen's saying too, I think what you said is that you drive it 10, 15 times a day. And that's, I don't deny that in the slightest, because I know that's what your work entails. But going back to how, as a pedestrian, do you cross such a busy street? That's where the dilemma is. I guess my question to Mark and to Kevin, when we look at the different options before us in terms of what's the best tool for this particular project, I see that this one comes in right around $28,000. What other options did you contemplate, and the cost ballparks were associated with those, so that we understand that this is the best option before us?
As far as other improvements that were kind of looked at were the original trail design that the fairgrounds put forward a couple years ago before they actually built the trail. That didn't tie in the facilities well on the west side of the road, and then also on the east side. There's an existing driveway just north of the trail as it ties into Russell Street, and that's a contributing factor. We could have looked into potentially a roundabout, but with roundabouts, you want really equal traffic on various legs of the intersection, and this wouldn't have that. These improvements were essentially, or the improvements contemplated are essentially the improvements that will work, will function well, and that will be fairly cheap to design and install. There's really not a lot of other options available.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Okay, I'll just add my 2 cents in support of this project. One is that we need safety improvements, and we also need to fill in the gaps on our commuter trail and connectivity with our existing infrastructure. It's also a good thing that we have the county partnering with us to pay for these improvements. This has been in our CIP for a couple of years now. And if we want to increase our multimodal goals and reach our goals, then this is a good way to do it, to provide safety so that people can use alternative modes of transportation. So I'm supportive of this. I do need a motion. Would anyone care to make the motion? Heather. Yeah.
I would love to make the recommended motion on this particular project.
Great. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. I'm gonna check on our public participation. Somehow I can't. I don't see any hands up. Ashley, can you help me see if we have anyone from the public wanting to provide public comment on this?
I don't see any hands up either.
Okay, so with that, if we can get a roll call vote, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Contos,
No.
Harp,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Ramos,
No.
Vasika,
No.
Von Lossberg,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses and 3 nos.
Great. So should we put this on the consent agenda or committee reports to those of you who voted against it?
I'm fine with consent agenda, Mirta.
Okay. Is that
I'm fine with that as well.
okay? Sounds good. So that will be on our consent agenda. Thank you so much, Mark and Kevin, for bringing this up and for your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And with that, we will move now to item 3.2. That is a resolution for vacating a public utility easement for the Millsite subdivision. And Tracy has a presentation for us.
Yep, just let me get the slideshow going. Oop. Oh shoot, my screens are mixed up.
We could, oh,
Can you guys see that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon. I'm Tracy Freshour from Public Works Infrastructure and Mobility, and I'd like to present 2 vacation requests pertaining to the Millsite subdivision adjacent to Wyoming Street, East California Street, east of California Street and Old Mill Road. The 2 public utility easement vacations are once again located adjacent to Wyoming. And then this is the new Old Mill Road. And so here are the vacations that I'm presenting. Areas to be vacated. This photo is taken from the west I'm standing on the new Old Mill Road. WGM Group is representing the owners of Lot 6A through 16A, Block 6, Millsite Subdivision, Phase 1, Wyoming North. The owner of Millsite's Revitalization Project, LLC, is requesting that the city vacate the 2 public utility easements. The first easement is this easement. It's 14.5 feet by 31 feet long. The second easement over here is 12 feet wide by 20 feet long. The reason the public utility easement's being vacated is because the property owner is proposing a boundary line relocation, a sewer main, water main, and joint utility trench alignment. There are some existing utilities in the easement to be removed and extended. WGM Group notified all utility contacts for release of the easement. The utility contacts are Blackfoot Communications, CenturyLink, Missoula Electric Cooperative, Northwestern Energy, Spectrum, and the city water and sewer. All the utility contacts have been signed, released of the easement documents, and the release of easement documents are and relinquished any claim to public utility easements. The aerial map shows the vacated public utility easements and maintained public utility easements. So these are the ones we're requesting to vacation, and these are the ones that are going to be maintained. We ask that you support our recommendation or our recommended motion. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions from council members? Okay, would anyone like to make the motion? Okay, Ms. Jones.
I'm happy to make the motion. Construction is starting in the next phase in the Sawmill District, and I'm happy to see it going forward. So happy to make the motion and get this one out the door.
Great. I will check and make sure we have a motion on the floor. Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none. If we could get a roll call vote, please, Ashley.
Anderson,
Yes.
Becerra,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Harp,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Basika,
Yes.
Von Lossberg,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Great. So that will go on our consent agenda. Thank you, Tracy, and take it away for the next one.
Great, thank you. So once again, I'm Tracy Freshour from Public Works Infrastructure and Mobility. The second public utility easement I'd like to present is Hanson Edition number 2. This is 2160 Carol Ann Court. The public utility easement vacation is located at 2061 Carol Ann Court. It's this section right here. This easement runs right through the middle of the owner's property. So this is the picture of the owner's property, and right along here is this public utility easement. WMGM Group is also representing the owner of Lot 2 Hanson Edition subdivision. The owner, Troy Hannanen, is requesting that the city vacate the public utility easement that's 20 feet wide by 118.73 feet long. The reason for this public utility easement being vacated is the property owner is proposing construction of a structure on top of this easement. There are no existing utilities in this easement. The property owner notified all utility contacts for release of easement. The utility contacts are Blackfoot Communications, CenturyLink, Missoula Electric Cooperative, Northwestern Energy Spectrum, and the city water and sewer. All of these utility contracts have been signed and release of easement documents. The release of easement documents, release and relinquishing a claim to the public utility easement. We ask that you support this recommendation. I'll be happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions from council members or anyone who wants to make the recommended motion? Not all of you at once. Jesse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will make the recommended motion.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ramos. Let me check on public comment. Is there any public comment on the recommended motion? Okay, seeing none. Let's do a roll call vote, please, Ashley.
Anderson,
Yes.
Becerra,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Harp,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Vasika,
Yes.
Von Lossberg,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. And that will go on our consent agenda. Thank you, Tracy, for the presentation and bringing this forward.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. So that is all for Public Works Committee today. So with that, we would be adjourned. Thank you, everyone.